Are you a real estate agent who wants to sell homes consistently every month? Did your broker promise to guide you and let you down? Join Dan Rochon, who has sold 1 to 15 homes consistently every month for each of the past 129 months. Stay tuned as Dan shares fundamental truths and success principles of building a consistent real estate business. Thank you for joining Dan Rochon, and welcome to today's training.
Behavior is something that can allow for us to understand how somebody else is going to behave. And so what we find is that, whether we're working with a client or we're hiring somebody or anybody else, is that there's going to be a predominant way that people sort of respond and behave. In the 1920s, there was a gentleman named Dr. Marston. He was a behavioral scientist, worked at Harvard, and he was also, if you're ready for this for your Trivial Pursuit, he was also created Wonder Woman, and he was one of the founders of one of the first versions of the lie detector test. So this was this was a pretty cool dude. And so Dr. Marston had done some study on behavior, and he identified what we refer to today as DISC. There's a lot of different assessments out there today, a lot of different resources to be able to understand behavior, yet at the most fundamental, DISC would be the most fundamental. Now, one thing I want to notate is DISC has 4 different behaviors that they talk about, and I'll tell you those. We have many, many, many more behaviors than just 4. The other thing to understand about behavior is that oftentimes we think of behavior as a strength or as a weakness. That's not true. Behavior just is. Now, if that behavior is serving you, it can show up as a strength. If that behavior is getting in your way or in other people's way, it can show up as a weakness. And of course, if it's serving other people, it could be a strength as well. And so I'll give you an example. It could be the exact same behavior. For example, I am a dominant person. I don't know if you knew that about me. I'm very dominant. I'm very fast. I'm very assertive. I get things done quickly. And so that behavior of being dominant and assertive, taking charge, many, many times, probably most, it's going to be a strength because it allows for me to be able to contribute to others, to be able to help organize others, to be able to see a vision of the future. And that's a really good quality for somebody in an organization to have. Now, oftentimes it shows up as a strength, other times it shows up as a weakness, that same dominance. For example, if I am in a room and there's 10, 15 people in here and there's another dominant person that's in charge, and I'm so dominant that I feel that I need to be in charge, well, that's going to show up as a weakness, right? Because I'm not respecting that other person and I'm not supporting that other person in the entire team of people to be able to be successful. So here's some quick tricks on how you can identify behavior. So DISC, those are the 4. So dominance, influential, steady, and conscientious or correct. There's different adjectives or different words that you'll hear refer for those 4 letters. Dominant. So for a dominant person, that's going to be somebody that's going to take charge. That's going to be somebody that is going to be direct. They're going to speak in really short sentences. They're not going to be interested so much in small talk. One of the biggest things that they're going to fear is to be taken advantage of. They're going to fear to be wrong. It's one of the, dominant is my leading behavior. And it's one of the reasons why I don't like to buy jewelry, right? Not because I don't love my wife, it's because I don't want to get ripped off. Because I can't tell the difference between, if this was a ring, I just picked up an Allen wrench. Let's pretend it's a beautiful diamond ring. If this was a ring, I couldn't tell the difference if it's a $2 ring or a $10,000 ring. Who the heck knows? And so that's something that's a fear of mine. I don't want to be taken advantage of. If you call me, now my voice message, because I'm in sales, is different than this. Yet a lot of times for somebody that's a high D or high dominant person, you call them on their voice message, you're going to say something like, leave a message. That's it, right? Like really direct, really to the point. Leave a message. So that's a high D. A high I would be, they're going to be the life of the party. They're going to drive beautiful cars, they're going to be like those sporty cars. The ladies, they're going to have the earrings dangling off their ears, right? You're going to know when you're in the room with them. If you go to their home, you're going to find photos of, guess who, all around their office. Woo! Photos of themselves, right? They're going to be that life of the party. If you call them, you listen to their voice message, you may hear on their voice message something like, maybe they're actually at a party leaving the voice message, right? Or it's going to be like maybe some high energy music, or it's going to be something that's going to be boom, yeah, let's go, right? Something like that. And so that's going to be a high I. A high S, which is 35% of the population, is about And I say that because the D's are around 15%, the I's are 25%, the S's 35%, and the C's around 25%. So if you don't know, just guess that it's an S, right? Because that's, your odds are S's. And so the S's care about family, they care about safety. They want to make sure that they're making the right decision. They may be a little bit slower in regards to making a decision. That high S, if you're working with them as a client, you want to make sure that you're emphasizing the family aspect of the homes that you're showing. Make sure you stay within the fair housing, make sure you don't discriminate. Yet, you're going to make sure that if you're showing a home, it's not a bad idea to make sure that you show them that home when the bus is coming, the kids are coming off the bus at the end of the day. Or I remember one time I had a really, really high S. There was this park, and this park had like 19 minivans at it. And the home that we were looking at was on the other side of the park, and I could have taken the shorter way and just got to the home, but I saw the park out of my left side. And so I knew that family was important to them. I knew that safety was important to them. So I took the long road and went around the park really, really slow, so that they can see the families playing, they can see the kids out in the playground, that type of thing. So thinking about how to communicate with others. On that high S, when you call them and you hear a voice message, they may be like, hey, it's Dan, and Tracy, and Maggie, and then Ellie may bark as well, right? So it's gonna be, so those are some clues right there. If you go into their home, you're on a listing appointment, and you go into their home and you see photos up on the wall, they're going to be family photos, right? It's going to be the whole gang. If it's somebody that doesn't have a family, it's going to be like an adopted family, right? Maybe it's somebody that moved to like the Washington, D.C. area or wherever you are, and they're from Denver or whatever. That's where their family is, and they haven't got married yet, started their own family. They're going to, say it's a young lady. She's going to most likely find a lot of other young ladies and maybe gentlemen to be able to be, almost like a pseudo family. And so those are going to be the high S's. A high C. High C is somebody that really, really, really pays attention to details. They are analytics. Typically they'll be engineers. They may be attorneys. The high C's, they're going to leave a voice message, something like, hi, it's Daniel Francis Rochon. Please leave a message. Tell me your phone number 2 times, the date that you called, the time that you called, and repeat your name twice, even if you believe that I know you. It's going to be very, very detailed. So let's say there's a seller that you're working with, and that seller, you identify them as a high C, then you're going to want to make sure that when you show up, you have tons and tons of analytical data, of numbers, be able to show them the trends of the market. The homes that are sold at 99.2% of listing price. 72% of homes are sold within 32 days of listing. On average, it takes 31 days to be able to get from contract to close. Like details like that, the more the better when you're talking to a high C. So these are some of the things that you're looking for when you're hiring. Typically, salespeople are going to be either high I's, high D's, or high D's, high I's. You always want a fair amount of D. And in fact, for me, everybody in my organization, if you're saying like a scale of a 0 to 10, the lowest D in my organization, even for the analytical people, is going to be a 6. Okay? Because I want a driven organization. I want an organization that's going to be self-starters, that's not going to rely on me to be able to always say, hey, here's what we have to do today. Yet it's going to be able to figure out what they need to do. So hopefully those are some good little tidbits of DISC and behavior. And remember that it does not define you who you are in regards to how your behavior is, because any behavior can succeed in any role as long as your why is big enough. Because if you are like a high C and not naturally sales oriented, and you have a really, really big reason of why you want to succeed in real estate sales, you're going to succeed because you're going to find out how. Hopefully this was useful to your success.
Give us a thumbs up by clicking the like button below. Don't forget to subscribe to Get Rock Solid Coaching Channel and stay ahead of the game.